Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, depending on the time of the day you're watching this video. Well, this is your teacher, Mr. Mazlumi, coming to you from Chitsazan Language Institute. How's it going? Hope everything is just going fine. And welcome to another episode of High Intermediate 2. Today, God willing, we'll be covering pages 11 and 12. Remember, last session on page 10, we talked about coherence and how to create a coherent paragraph. Remember, coherence is related to the connection between sentences. A coherent paragraph makes sense and is easy for the reader to follow. There were some tools to achieve this, to come up with a coherent paragraph. We dealt with the first one, that is repeating the keywords or phrases. So it was one of the ways to achieve coherence in a paragraph. Today we'll be dealing with the rest. So number 2 on page 11 is pronoun reference. Well, guys, another way to achieve coherence in writing is by the use of pronouns. So, pronoun reference means using pronouns to achieve coherence in writing, especially in paragraph writing. Now, take a listen. Obviously, you don't want to exaggerate repetition. Too much of it makes the text boring or irritating. Another way in which we create coherence is by avoiding the repetition of nouns, noun phrases, or names, and using pronouns instead. In a speech, we do this without thinking, but in writing, we have to be sure that it is clear what the pronoun is referring to. So obviously, clearly, you don't want to exaggerate repetition. Everyone, don't overdo it. Too much repetition can be risky and dangerous. Too much of repetition makes the text boring or irritating, kind of annoying. So remember not to overdo it. Don't use too much repetition in your writing, everyone. Another way in which we create coherence, we achieve coherence, is by avoiding the repetition of nouns, noun phrases, or names. So we stop repeating nouns, some words, noun phrases, and names. So what do we do then? And using pronouns instead. Instead of nouns and noun phrases, guys, we use pronouns. For example, yesterday I saw my friend Ali. He was going shopping. We stopped and we had a chit chat. Later, I said goodbye and he left. You see, I use some pronouns, for example, we, him. Subject pronouns, everyone. We have object pronouns, I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. These are the subject pronouns. We have mine, yours, his, blah, blah, me, you, him, her. So instead of repeating nouns, we can use pronouns. In a speech, while talking, we do this, we use pronouns without thinking. So it comes automatically, everyone, naturally. It is something in our blood, let's say. But in writing, we have to be sure that it is clear what the pronoun is referring to. So we need to be careful when we are using pronouns. We have an example paragraph, everyone. Take a listen. I'm going to read it. Then there are some vocabulary items I'd like to discuss, and later we will just check out the pronouns the writer has used to achieve and create coherence. Listen, please. Don't be misled by the British tendency to be soft-spoken and polite. If they need to be, they can be plenty tough. The English language didn't spread across the oceans and over the mountains and jungles and swamps of the world because these people were panty-waists. Taken from an instruction book for American servicemen in Britain in 1942. So, vocabulary time. Misled, everyone, is the past form of mislead. It means to deceive someone, to trick, to fool them. The British, guys, remember we have Britain, we have China, we have Japan. The British means the people of Britain. The Chinese, remember in Taiwan we discussed it. It means the people of China. The Japanese means the people of Japan. So the British tendency. Tendency means they do it regularly, usually. They tend to do something. For example, I tend to watch the news in my free time. It means I have a tendency to do it. So, tendency to be soft-spoken. Everyone, soft-spoken or softly spoken means having a pleasant and quiet voice. Soft-spoken or softly spoken. And you know, polite, the opposite is impolite. Well, they can be plenty tough. Guys, plenty here means very, a lot. Tough is an adjective which means unkind, not pleasant, or unpleasant. So they can be very unkind and unpleasant. Well, spread. When a language spreads, it means it is used by more and more people. Spread. And swamp, everyone. Swamp means an area of very wet, soft land. Swamp. And panty waist, and the plural panty waists. A panty waist means a sissy and weak person. Someone with a weak personality is called a panty waist. Well, guys, here you see we have the British, then we have they. What else? We have these people here, these people. You see, or they here again in line 3. You see, they refer to the same thing. So they just help the writer create coherence by the use of pronouns. So this makes the paragraph meaningful and comprehensible. So the British, Then we have the pronoun they. Later, we have again, where was it? Here, these people. Again, here we have they, if they need to. They refer to the same thing. So, this paragraph works. It is comprehensible. It is coherent. And in spite of the fact that they in the second sentence doesn't actually have a clear reference in the first sentence. From the context, we understand that they and later these people are the British. So this paragraph works. It is coherent. And in spite of the fact that, everyone, in spite of the fact that means although, even though, while they in the second sentence doesn't actually have a clear reference. So it is not clear who or what it refers to. So it doesn't have a clear reference in the first sentence. From the context, from the paragraph, we understand that they and later these people here are the British. They refer to the same thing. Well, number 3, everyone, is parallelism. Parallelism. So, parallelism, everyone, means similarity, being similar. What is it in writing? Guys, parallelism means using similar structures, let's say vocabulary, structures that are the same to achieve coherence. For example, my friend is tall, handsome, and generous. So you see, tall, handsome, and generous are similar structures. They are adjectives. Or Ali got up, opened the door, and left the room. So got up, opened the door, and left the room. These are phrases. You see, they are parallel. They are similar structures. So let's see. Parallelism is a sort of repetition. Only here, it is not names or nouns that are repeated, but grammatical structures. Parallelism makes the text easier to read, and by making sentences similar in structure, it helps to emphasize connections in content. So, parallelism is a sort of repetition. It is a kind of, a type of repetition. Only here, it is not names or nouns that are repeated. Well, everyone, in parallelism, we don't repeat names or nouns. But grammatical structures, we repeat, we use the same grammatical structures, guys. Parallelism makes a text, a piece of writing, easier to read. And by making sentences similar in structure, by making sentences parallel, similar in structure, it helps to emphasize, to stress connections in content, connections in a paragraph, in a piece of writing. So, parallelism in short means using similar structures. Check out the sample paragraph here, guys. Again, I'd like to read it out. We'll discuss the new vocabulary and we'll focus on parallelism. Take a listen. With Labour's victory in 1997, the Conservative Party was doomed to a decade of wandering in the political wilderness. Their voters had deserted them. Their policies had been stolen and their credibility as a party of government had been lost. The more they searched for new policies and the more they changed their leadership, the less confidence they inspired. So, vocabulary time. Labour Party is one of the main parties in the UK and Britain. Labour Party. The other one is the Conservative Party. You know, in politics there are different parties. For example, two main parties in the US are the Republicans and the Democrats, the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. So, Labour Party and Conservative Party. So, Labour's victory. Victory means to win something, winning something, to be successful. So, what happened in 1997? In 1997, in the UK, the Labour Party won the elections. Alright? So, they were in power. So, when this happened, the Conservative Party was doomed to a decade of wandering in the political wilderness. Remember, doomed to something? When, for example, we say we are doomed to fail, we are doomed to die, it means it will certainly happen. Decade, guys, is a period of 10 years. So, this party, Conservative Party, was doomed to a decade of wandering in the political wilderness. Well, in the political wilderness means they weren't in power. They couldn't win the elections. Their voters, the Conservative Party's voters, you know, voter is someone who votes in elections. Their voters had deserted them. Desert. Everyone, this is a verb, so we pronounce it desert. Desert means abandon, quit, leave. So their voters had deserted them. Their policies, policy means a way of doing something, plan. So their policies had been stolen and their credibility as a party of government had been lost. Everyone, credibility means the quality of being trusted and believed. It means people, the British, no longer trusted and believed them. So their credibility had been lost. People didn't believe them. The more they searched for new policies, for new plans, and the more they changed their leadership, remember lead, leader, leadership, this is the noun form, the less confidence they inspired. Well, everyone, inspire confidence means make people trust and believe in you. So the less confidence they inspired means they couldn't convince people, they couldn't inspire people, believe in them. So now let's check out the parallel structures here, everyone. So you see here in sentence 2, the writer says their voters had deserted them. You see, had deserted them. Then the policies had been stolen. Then the writer continues and uses had been lost. You see, we have a series of parallel structures. Or in the last sentence, we have the more and the less. Okay, again, parallel and similar structures. For example, I say, the more you practice, comma, the better your English becomes. Or we say, The sooner the better. You see, we have a series of parallel structures, similar structures. So remember to give it a try, guys, in your writing. Okay, let's move on. Exercise 3A. Replace the pronoun it in the following paragraph with the word English to make the paragraph more coherent. Well, guys, we've got a paragraph here. You're supposed to read it. There are lots of, let's say, it's in this paragraph. You need to replace them whenever possible with the word English. Well, as usual, I'm going to read it. So, I'd like you to take a listen. I will discuss the new vocabulary and finally we will check the answer. Alright? Now, here we go. Take a listen, please. English has almost become an international language. Except for Chinese, more people speak it than any other language. Spanish is the official language of more countries in the world, but more countries have it as their official or unofficial second language. More than 70% of the world's mail is written in it. So, 70% of the world's mail is written in it. In international business, it is used more than any other language, and it is the language of airline pilots and air traffic controllers all over the world. Moreover, although French used to be the language of diplomacy, it has displaced it throughout the world. Therefore, unless you plan to spend your life alone on a desert island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, it is a useful language to know. Now, let's check out some new vocabulary. Well, everyone, except for means but, apart from. For example, I go to school every day except for Fridays. It means I don't go to school on Fridays. Well, we have official and unofficial second language. Everyone, first, let's discuss first language, second language, and let's say foreign language. You know, for us, Turkish, or let's say Azeri, is the first language. It is our mother tongue, everyone. Yeah, so Azeri or Turkish for people who are living in Azerbaijan, I mean here, is the first language. It is our mother tongue. Persian is the second language for us. And of course, it is our official language. And English is a foreign language. French, English, Russian, Spanish, these are all foreign languages. Then we have official and unofficial. Everyone, in our country, the official language is Persian. So Persian is an official language. What about Turkish? What about Kurdish? Well, Turkish, Kurdish, guys, these are unofficial languages. Okay, so Persian is the official or formal language in our country. Well, mail, buddies, here means email. So mail means email. Well, you know, airplane pilots, we have air traffic controllers. Air traffic controllers. Well, an air traffic controller, everyone, means someone who gives instructions by radio to pilots and lets them know when and where to take off or land. Okay? Air traffic controller. Moreover means what's more. Moreover, what's more. Although means even though. Even though, although. Well, diplomacy, everyone. Diplomacy means the job or activity of managing the relationships between countries. Diplomacy, something we need to work on it a lot. So, the job or the activity of managing the relationships between countries. It is very important. Well, displace means replace. Take the place of something or someone. Displace, replace. Throughout the world means all over the world. Throughout the world. Everyone, desert here is an adjective. It means isolated. It means in a remote, in a far area. So, desert island means a remote island, an isolated island. Okay. So, just a minute. I'd like to share the answers with you. Okay, so let me see. Just a sec. So, as I told you, everyone, you need to replace the word English with the pronouns it whenever possible. So, this is the answer. Take a listen. English has almost become an international language. Except for Chinese, more people speak English. So here, instead of it, we say English. Than any other language. Spanish is the official language of more countries in the world, but more countries have English, another one, as their official or unofficial second language. More than 70% of the world's mail is written in English. Again, another word, we need to replace it. In international business, English, another word here, English is used more than any other language. And English, another word, and English is the language of airline pilots and air traffic controllers all over the world. Moreover, although French used to be the language of diplomacy, English has displaced it. You see, we have another word, English, here. So, English has displaced it throughout the world. Therefore, unless you plan to spend your life alone on a desert island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, English is a useful language to know. So, you see, whenever possible, whenever it makes sense, guys, we use the word English instead of the pronoun it. Okay? Well, thank you. Let's move on. So, in the second exercise, second part, 3B, there is another paragraph. Well, we've got another paragraph. Okay. So, 3B. Correct the pronouns in the following paragraph to make it more coherent. Here is the paragraph. Take a listen. Olympic athletes must be strong both physically and mentally. First of all, if you hope to compete in an Olympic sport, you must be physically strong. Furthermore, aspiring Olympians must train rigorously for many years. For the most demanding sports, you train several hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week for 10 or more years. In addition to being physically strong, he or she must also be mentally tough. This means that you have to be totally dedicated to your sport, often giving up a normal school, family, and social life. Being mentally strong also means that he or she must be able to withstand the intense pressure of international competition with its attendant media coverage. Finally, not everyone can win a medal, so you must possess the inner strength to live with defeat. Okay, well, guys, let's check out the vocabulary items. Well, athlete. An athlete is a person who plays sports. You can say a sports person or a sportsman or woman. Remember, guys, the adjective form means athletic. Athletic. So athlete, athletic. Physically is related to physical, physically related to our body. Mental and mentally related to mind. To compete, we compete in matches, the person is a competitor, the adjective is competitive, and the noun form, if you remember, is competition. Well, furthermore means what's more, in addition, furthermore. Aspiring, everyone, means ambitious. Aspiring, kind of hard-working, ambitious. Olympian, someone who takes part in Olympic Games, who competes there. They train, they exercise rigorously. Rigorously means severely, strictly, they are serious about it. And demanding sport. Well, everyone, when sport is demanding, it means it needs a lot of time and energy. You need to train a lot. For example, soccer can be a demanding sport. Soccer players spend hours training, just practicing and exercising. In addition to, guys, means what's more, furthermore, and also besides. You must be mentally tough. If you are mentally tough, you are physically and emotionally strong. And you need to be totally dedicated. Totally means completely. Dedicated means you are committed. You work hard. You are working hard. Okay, what else? Yes, withstand. To withstand means to resist. Resist. R-E-S-I-S-T. Resist. To bear. B-A-A-R. B-E-A-R. Bear. To stand up to resist. The resist intense. Intense, everyone, means extreme, very great. Attendant media coverage. Yeah, attendant media coverage. Everyone, Attendant media coverage means related or caused by media. Attendant media coverage. What is media coverage? When there is a match, when we have the Olympic Games, everyone, we have a lot of news and sports events that are reported on TV, in radio, or in newspapers and online. We call it media coverage. Different channels, news agencies try to cover the events. So we have lots of attendant media coverage. Well, to possess means to have something, to own something. Inner means innate, inside. It is the opposite of outer. Strength is the noun form of strong. Remember, strong, strength, and the verb form was strengthen. The opposites are weak, weakness, and weaken. To live with, defeat. Defeat is the opposite of winning. It means failure. It is the opposite of victory. It means not success, defeat. Okay, now let's check the answer, everyone. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay, so take a listen. Remember, you were supposed to make corrections or use the correct pronouns. Well, Olympic athletes must be strong both physically and mentally. First of all, if they hope, they refers to Olympic athletes. If they hope to compete in an Olympic sport, they must be physically strong. You see, they, another pronoun. Furthermore, aspiring Olympians must train rigorously for many years. For the most demanding sports, they train several hours a day. Another pronoun, they. 5 or 6 days a week for 10 or more years. In addition to being physically strong, they, again, Olympic athletes, they must also be mentally tough. This means that they, again, Olympic athletes, they have to be totally dedicated to their sport, often giving up a normal school, family, and social life. Being mentally strong also means that they must be able to withstand the intense pressure of international competition with its accompanying media coverage. Finally, not everyone can win a medal, so they must possess the inner strength to live with defeat. All right, well, that's it. Let's move on. We're done with page 11, guys. Please turn to page 12, okay? Page 12. Exercise 3, part C. So, 3C. In the following sentences, choose the best parallel structure. Remember, parallel means similar. Here you need to choose the structures that are similar. They are, for example, nouns, they are adjectives, they are noun phrases. Okay? Number 1, Tom has, the correct answer is B. A beautiful wife, a big house, and lovely children. Well, the reason, everyone, you see in B, we have a beautiful house. It is a noun phrase. A big house, another noun phrase, and Loudly children. Again, another noun phrase. So we have a series of parallel structures. But if you look at a beautiful wife, well, this is a noun phrase. A big house is another noun phrase, and he has lovely children. This is not a noun phrase, guys. This is a sentence. So it can't be our answer. The answer is B. Number 2, complaints were made by, well, the answer is A, teachers and administrators. So you see, teachers is a noun, administrators is another noun. So we have a series of nouns here. By the way, complaint, everyone, is the noun form of complain. When we are not happy with the service, we complain. The noun form is complaint, and you make a complaint. Administrator means manager. Number 3. I learned, the answer is A, to be attentive to my teachers and to do my homework. So, you see, to do something and to do something. We have two infinitive phrases, guys, here. So, the parallel structures are infinitive phrases. But here, if you look at B, look, to be attentive to my teachers, well, this is an infinitive phrase. But after that, and I do my homework, this is a sentence. This can't be our answer, everyone, because the structures are not parallel in B. By the by, attentive means listening carefully. Attentive. It is an adjective. The noun form is attentiveness, and we have attentively. I hope you're watching this video attentively, everyone. Attentively. The opposite is inattentive. Inattentive people usually don't make good students, by the way. Okay, well, number 4, she was known, the answer is B, for her beauty and generosity. Beauty is the noun form of beautiful, and generosity is the noun form of generous. So we have two nouns here, let's say. But in A, as you can see, her beauty, well, this is a noun phrase, but she's generous is a sentence, so the structures are not parallel in A. Number 5, this is what I want. The answer is B, to study hard, comma, to get the best grades, comma, and to get a good job when I graduate. You see, again, we have similar or parallel structures. We have infinitive phrases here. To do something, and to do something. But if you check out A, well, the first one is an infinitive phrase. The second one is an infinitive phrase. But the third one is a gerund phrase, which means the structures are not parallel. Number 6, I advise you to sleep early, to eat healthy food or eat healthy food, because we have to here, we can omit it, it is optional, to eat healthy food, and to exercise regularly. Again, parallel structures. Number 7, I hate B, washing the linen by hand and cooking. Everyone, linen means clothes, sheets that are made from linen. Linen is a kind of material, by the way. It can be a kind of material. So I hate doing something and doing something. B is the correct answer. But in A, if you check it out, I hate washing, okay, and to cook. You see, a gerund phrase, then we have an infinitive, so they are not parallel. Number 8. I consider your behavior, B is the correct answer, rude, comma, irresponsible, and offensive. So, rude, irresponsible, and offensive are adjectives, so parallel structures. But in A, and I think it is offensive, is not an adjective, it is a sentence. Rude means impolite, everyone. You know the meaning, opposite of polite. Irresponsible means not responsible, opposite of responsible. And offensive means very rude, offensive. The opposite in this sense is inoffensive. Offensive, inoffensive. Number 9, she decided to forget about her ex-husband, to start a new relationship, and to work hard on her project. So to do something, to do something, to do something. A is the correct answer. But if you look at B, you see we have forget, we have start, but we have to work, so it doesn't make sense. X means before. Number 10, to apply for this job, you need, the answer is A, you need to have a university degree in linguistics and 5 years of experience as an interpreter. Again, we choose it because we have parallel structures here. You see in B, we have having. Having is gerund form, but here we have to have. So they are not parallel. By the way, you know university degree. What is linguistics? Guys, remember in the passage about New York, we just discussed it. Linguistics means the science of studying languages, linguistics. A person who does it is called a linguist. So a linguist studies languages. The adjective is linguistical and the adverb is linguistically. By the way, an interpreter, many students just confuse it with translator. Guys, they're different. An interpreter means someone who translates spoken language, okay? Spoken language, what someone is saying to another language. A translator can translate books, articles, I don't know, magazines, etc. So, interpreter, a person who translates spoken language. Well, guys, this is the end of our session. Thanks for accompanying us. God willing, next session we'll deal with the third grammar box and page 13. And of course, there is a magazine page, page 47. Well, until next session, everyone, take care and goodbye.